I wonder how much the way I am is affected by my birth order. We are talking about that now with Dr. Karyn Gordon. Give her a big hand. Thanks for joining us. So, whether you're the eldest, the middle child, or the baby may have some bearing on your personality.
Yes.
I feel like I'm a very typical baby.
Yeah,
Are
really?
you a baby?
I'm a baby too.
Yeah, I'm a pretty typical baby.
Yeah.
When I look through your list of the things a baby craves and the way that a baby is, I am definitely a younger child.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what the audience is. Are there any other babies out there? Put your hands up way in the air. Oh, little Susie Gardner's
Hey, look at
baby.
how many people. Oh, so cute. So cute.
Oh, that's a real little baby.
It's a real little baby.
Look at that.
A real baby baby.
A real baby baby. Why don't we start with eldest children?
Okay, so number one, like all things around research, I find it's very helpful. This is with what we found with research. They're generalizations, and generalizations can be helpful, but they can be harmful. So I always like to kind of say that. So filter this through your own experience. There's a lot of variables that will actually affect it. So I'm going to kind of give you overviews of the different birth orders, but there's definitely going to be things that will affect it. Okay, so number one, let's start with eldest. So eldest, what do we find? And so part of the reason why birth order actually plays such a big part in terms of personality development is because depending with where we're at in the pecking order, parents' time with us is going to be different. Our interactions are going to be different. How much time that we have to do other things is good. It's just the nature about our environment. It's going to be impacted.
Right, because if you're an eldest child, you presumably had some time alone with your parents.
Exactly.
They might have been very different parents with you than they're going to be with child number 3 or 4 or 5. Or if you're Sandy Richard, child number 7.
Right.
And
so it all depends.
I want to talk about that too. What happens when there are all these children in between?
Yeah.
Are they all middle?
They're all middle. Okay, so let's dive in. So eldest is, so what do we know about eldest? So it's actually interesting. Over half of the US presidents are eldest. Most of the astronauts are actually eldest. Eldest tend to be highly responsible. They're highly responsible. They follow the traditions of the family. Their career choices, they usually either follow in their parents' footsteps or with what their parents expect of them. They're very, very big in terms of following the rules of families. Okay. And they also tend to go into engineering, accounting, more almost secure jobs.
All right, they're not taking any chances.
They're not going to take a lot of chances. So things that they crave actually getting approval from other people. Sometimes they actually struggle with perfection. And the things sometimes that they struggle a little bit with is having fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they are the responsible ones.
Yeah,
they are the responsible ones. They got to let loose a little bit. So for parents, and so from a parenting perspective, if you've got an eldest, just encourage them to have fun. Like, this is where it can be actually very helpful when you actually understand all these different pieces.
Yeah.
As a parent, being a little bit more intentional with your different kids to kind of get them to expand themselves in a certain way.
Yeah,
so,
let go a little bit.
Let go a little bit, yes.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about middle children.
Middle. So middle children, it's interesting because middle children often get like the bad rap, right? It's like, oh, you're the middle child, you're the lost child. And it really kind of depends. It depends on a couple things. It depends with how many kids are in the middle, but it also depends on the gender for this one.
Okay.
So if the firstborn is a girl, the second child is a boy. The boy, because it's a different gender, it's not going to have as much competition. So what happens is the boy is going to almost have more attributes of the firstborn. It's almost like their status has actually gotten elevated. So there won't be nearly as much sibling rivalry in that case. If it's a girl, then the girl will actually have more tendencies of the typical middle child.
What if it's a boy and then a girl?
Same thing. So if it's a different gender, it's almost like their status gets elevated. It's almost like there's more power, if that actually makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
sense.
sense.
So the middle child, so they are competing against an older and a younger child, always.
Right.
Okay, so they're always competing. So sometimes that's where they can sometimes get lost, so to speak, in it. But they are phenomenal peacemakers. They're phenomenal negotiators.
Right.
So my brother I'm the baby of 3 kids. My brother was the middle child. And I still remember wanting this waterbed, and I couldn't convince my parents to buy me this, or for me to buy my own waterbed.
Yeah.
And so he negotiated on my behalf to my parents so that I could get my waterbed with my little $100 that I had saved up. But it's because he also wanted a waterbed as well.
Okay.
Right. So
he played that role.
He is very much of the peacekeeper, the negotiator.
Right. Okay. So other famous middle children are Princess Diana and Martin Luther King.
Yeah. So they're very big into justice. And so from a parent, if you've got a child who's got a middle, if you've got if you are a parent and you have a middle child, just be very intentional to find that middle child. So don't wait for the child to actually come to you. You go find them in your house. Be intentional because they will kind of hide sometimes. So you have to be extra intentional to draw out that child.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah. Okay, youngest.
Page number 2.
Yeah, youngest children tend to be, let me just read this for you. Charming, entertaining, affectionate, sentimental, adventurous trailblazers.
Yes, they do.
Do you see why I claim this so proudly?
Yes.
Although really everyone knows we're just spoiled brats.
Well,
A little bit.
a little bit. So
There's
what
a
we
little bit of
find,
that.
what we find with baby children is baby children, they have been held the most. They've gotten the most attention. By this point, parents kind of know what they're doing, so they're not so parents are more relaxed. So their parenting is more relaxed, and so that's why parents tend to encourage more risk taking with baby children, and that's why we see baby children actually having more dreams, more adventurous. That's why most people in the media, I find, are actually baby children because it's not as secure. So it's kind of like, sure, why not go try that out? And so parents are much more relaxed.
Okay.
So, but what we find in middle children, this is very significant, is that we see babies do one of two extremes. They either are not responsible at all.
Yeah.
Okay, because other people have always been taking care of them, or they become almost an overachiever trying to catch up to their siblings.
Right.
So the baby children are like extremely ambitious. So sometimes baby children, you think it's a firstborn, but actually they're a baby trying to catch up.
Now, what happens is things change if there's a huge amount of time between one sibling and another.
So,
let's say there's 7 years between two siblings. What does that do to the birth order?
Huge. So what happens is if there's really more than 5 years in between siblings, then it's almost like it's a. So if there's a baby and then the parents didn't have any children for another 7 years, the next one will almost be like an eldest child.
If the birth order starts again.
Correct.
The cycle starts again.
Correct.
Very interesting. Okay, if we have time a little bit later, we're going to talk more about this because we didn't talk about only children, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get to that later. Let's go to break. More coming up. It's